で仕方がない. I've heard it said so many times. This is the way the Japanese people were able to deal with, happenings that they can't do anything about.
The University of British Columbia is one of the world's great universities that seeks to reach out to the widest possible community, creating opportunities for research, teaching, learning that are unparalleled. UBC was formed by an act of the provincial legislature in 1908, and then I think graduated its first class in 1914. And from the very earliest days, the purpose of the university was to create a provincial university without provincialism. The whole idea was that this would be a university that connected British Columbia to all of the great debates that were taking place over the last century, helping to contribute to improving the world. The internment of Japanese Canadians during the Second World War was one of the great historical injustices in Canadian history.
I felt that these students were robbed of their rights to an education. They went through that hell of being expelled, not just from the university, but from their own lives.
These were often really committed students who were working very, very hard and had done nothing to justify this action. I think that the sad thing for the university is that so few people stood up in their defense. There were some, but given the role of the university as a model for human rights and as a model for respect of individuals and cultures, I would have hoped that there would be more resistance.
I felt that an injustice was done to the Canadian UBC students. I felt that somebody had to speak for them, and I heard no other voices. And so I started this quest to get them honorary degrees. The first letter I wrote was April the 22nd, 2008, to the president of UBC, Stephen Toop. It's taken 3 years. It was not an easy job.
It took some time to decide what the right approach was. Rather than simply using a symbolic gesture, which is important, we also wanted to try to create some programming and create curriculum that would, for the future, keep this question alive so that the memory of what happened is not lost, and so that there's really a continuing honoring of the students who were interned at that time.
Every phone call we made, there was joy. And there was so much joy in their voices. They just couldn't believe it. Or if the student had already passed away, the widow or a child would say, "Oh, my dad would have been so happy." In fact, some of them got so emotional that, they couldn't say anything. It's been a long journey of 70 years, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome home.
It's really inspiring for me to see how, despite what happened to you in the 1940s, you got on with your lives. You made families, you made careers, you made Canada a stronger country through your contributions. Rather than simply being angry, rather than simply saying, I have no role to play, you transcended the wrong that was done against you. I think that that's something that should be told to future generations of UBC students. Resilience, persistence, fundamental human decency can triumph. Thank you for helping us learn that lesson.
For me, it's a closure to an open-ended situation. Because here I was going to university, I was going to get my degree, I was going to start my life that way, and it was disrupted.
Education was so important. And so if I was there, I would have got the degree, right? So I'm getting it now. They call it honorary causa. I think for me, it would be a tribute to my mother, because she believed, as you and I said, education is so important, I would think. Don't you think so?
Well, I think if I got the diploma in my hand, I think I would really cry, because I never dreamed ever that the University of British Columbia would take a stand to grant degrees.
Well, I think that they're trying to rectify the injustice that was done to the, Japanese in British Columbia. The prejudice then was, it's just, and I think they're recognizing that, and they're trying to make amends. And I think the university has the courage to announce that that was a mistake, and that they're recognizing that, and they're giving them honorary degree.
I said, because of Mary. The redress, thanks to the Archimedes and a few, what she's putting in, and she's finding it fascinating with the little story she said, but it's thanks to her and for the university to go with it. Because really, did it matter to the individual if this wasn't done? Really, I'm sure nobody really thought of it. I never did.
I think I was one of the few guys managed to write my exam and get my degree and attend the convocation and pick up my degree. Not everybody did that. So in that respect, I was very, very fortunate.
So much effort they had to find addresses of the people and stuff. One email from Mary said they need our heights so they can measure the gown and the...
Belated, possibly. Under pressure, maybe. But still, those are facts. They've now welcomed me back into their arms.
It would have been nice to get our degrees from UBC, and I would have loved to gotten it from UBC rather than from Western. But at the same time, that's what history happened. So what can you do about it? So just keep on. There are people that may not have got back to university. Those are people I do feel for, that if they get this honorarium, it'll be very nice for them.
It's really the first real indication, official indication of the university recognizing that we students were there, and in the subsequent journeys that we've had, we've made a fantastic contribution, I think, to the to Canadian living.
My father and mother, I wish I could give them the piece of paper to say, look, as Japanese Canadians, we were able to graduate from the University of British Columbia and proudly hand it to my father and mother. It was such a rare opportunity for Japanese Canadian students to go to university. It was expensive, it meant sacrifices, And also we were bucking a trend. So that piece of paper, yes, I honor the University of British Columbia Center for their stand.
I would think.
And I would say thank you. Thank you for their understanding.
Professionally and economically, does absolutely nothing for me. You know, I'm 90, it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't do anything for me. But what it does mean to me is that the university has opened its arms and said, come back, you're part of our group, our alma mater. You know, it's like saying, come on home.